some noise for your host, Kid Copious.
What up, perps? Kid Copious. Back in the bunker. Purple State Party. You know what we're doing here. We're repping America, the center, and common sense. And the 4th of July. I'm already starting my plans for that. So, let's get right into this. As you can see right here, title of today's episode is PSP Plus. Yeah, I'm proud to say I've lasted longer than CNN Plus. Probably made about as much money as CNN Plus. But anyhow, that's where I got my title for today. So we're going to just jump right into our bullet points. Netflix shares crashing, CNN Plus shutting down after 1 month. Actually, it's 3 weeks, but, you know, who's counting? Spotify removes Obama podcast, probably because they weren't doing anything with it. Disney's getting stripped of its special governing powers. Not really sure what that all means. I mean, I don't think I'd want to get rid of Disney World if I was running that state. But, yeah, you know, they want to fight back, whatever. Mass ruled unlawful on public transport. And Elon Musk has secured funding for a Twitter takeover. So we've got some good things, you know, for us here in the center, for us who try to operate with, you know, common sense, mixed with a little love of Jesus, you know, mixed with a little love of, you know, our fellow man, you know. I'm not here to overturn things to make things worse on people. I want to make things better for people. I just want to do it with a common sense approach, you know. And as we're going to see, you know, a lot of these things are, that have been approached without common sense are failing. And we're going to get into that. Congress should not legalize marijuana, Mark Rubio says, because black market weed is laced with fentanyl. Yeah, that's an urban myth. And, you know, I'm here for common sense. I don't give a fuck if this guy's a Republican. I stand in direct opposition to him. You know, legalized marijuana is the safest way for people to get marijuana. That's it. There is no arguing that point. It is safer than buying it on the streets, and it does not contribute to drug cartels in the same way that buying it in a legally operating store does. But here in California, we've seen the downside to it, which is that the government has taxed it to almost 30%, which keeps the black market, you know, 30% cheaper. See, no common sense. You know, I support the legalization, but the amount of tax that they're putting on it, it creates the black market. There's really no arguing that. I mean, so as we briefly mentioned, CNN Plus was canceled after 23 days. I guess Americans don't mind free propaganda, but they sure as hell ain't going to pay for it. Hi, my name is CNN Plus, and my pronouns are was and were. Hey, don't write me any letters. This has nothing to do with trans pronouns, okay? That is what you call a joke. Chris Wallace now regretting getting a CNN Plus tramp stamp. You know what? You got what you deserve, buddy. They cheered when Rush Limbaugh died, but want you to be sad when CNN service doesn't work out. I mean, I think I summed that up pretty well. I mean, it's propaganda now. I have in my possession about 15 videotapes, each tape holding 6 hours of coverage. And all of that was recorded after the tragedy of 9/11. CNN used to be my site. CNN used to be my channel. But they became propaganda. They were no longer giving us the facts and allowing us to make our own decisions. They were telling us what our decisions were. They were telling us. They became the thought police. I've had floral arrangements that lasted longer than CNN Plus. A tool of the intellectually weak and lazy when they cannot counter a logical argument or factual data. And we're seeing a lot of that. We see a lot of that out of BLM. We see a lot of that out of the libs, the far left, you know. They just say it's about race. We're pissed off at BLM because they're shysters. Not because they're black. My personal beef with them is that they use the race, the color of somebody's skin, as a marketing tool and as a shield. And they hide behind it. That's no different than some of these corrupt televangelists that are out there who take advantage of people's desperation and love of God to milk them out of their life savings. I'm sure people on the left want to stop the corrupt religious people out there. Well, I was well spoken. And that's no different. That's no different than me being upset that somebody hides behind the B and the BLM and tries to say, hey, you shouldn't be talking about all the money we're stealing because we're black. That doesn't add up to me. That doesn't matter to me. You've been caught with your hand in the cookie jar. Okay. 38% of Americans approve of the way Biden is handling immigration. Gaps in the wall. Look at that. You see wall material laying on the ground while they were constructing the wall. They're streaming across the border. And I'm going to tell you right now, because one thing about polls, all right, they're influenced by human emotion. So out of that 38%, how many people say that they approve simply because it was their team? I'll be honest with you. I think you remove 30% of that number. Because those are people that are just supporting the team. The other 8% are probably illegal aliens. Laura Ingram, I often disagree with her. Sometimes I think she radicalizes things for viewers, but whatever. If the left really cared about autocracy, racism, genocide, Islamophobia, gay rights, Putin, the climate, then they would criticize China more than they would criticize Florida or Texas. Yeah, it's so hip to criticize America and then give a pass to other countries, isn't it? Because that's what they do. Companies like Nike or Disney. I mean, Disney will remove gay characters from posters. They will remove black characters from posters so that the movie sells better overseas. It's hypocrisy. Let's print $1 bajillion. Inflation runs at 10%. Fucking Putin. Yeah. This is one of the best memes out there. The whole cyclist meme, I guess you can call it. But that's really a pretty accurate statement. That's what they did. We've talked about this before. That, the last 1.9 trillion or whatever it was is what pushed us over the edge. And Biden's the one who did it. Okay. All right? That's what it is, man. We can't change it now. But we need to look at how that happened, why that happened. And one of the reasons why all of that happened is because instead of having one or two things in a bill or having a budget that was laid out in a with a common sense approach, we just spent on special interests all over the place. Lobbyists, special interests, extreme left projects. And it didn't bring any money. It didn't help. It worsened. And that's what happened. I can't argue with that. Judge rules that airplane passengers no longer have to pretend to eat for 5 straight hours. Oh, man, I was on like an hour and a half flight, and I sipped the same cup of water, and every so often my daughter would nudge me and go, take a sip. I'm so glad we're ending all this, man. Not for a political reason, but because, we've got it under control. So it's time to end it. We're showing common sense by ending it. And the common sense came out of Florida. SMH. Here's my favorite one of the week. Promises made, promises kept. I don't work for you. Yep. He works for the far left. Pure and simple. Joe Biden works for the far left. There's no arguing with that. He's senile. He just wants to make people happy. So they send in a pretty girl who says, hey, wouldn't it be great if we gave illegal aliens cell phones and mansions and just opened up the border and let them all in? And he was like, whatever. like a fucking perv. Whatever. We're getting what you wanted. So I'm going to leave you with this one. John Rich. I met John Rich, not personally, but I met him on Celebrity Apprentice, and he really impressed me. Not even a fan of his music, really. I'm not a fan, but I'm just not really a fan of his music. But this guy speaks with a lot of common sense. And this is one of the best things I've read in a long time. I mean, I give it up to Mr. Rich. Patrick Henry once said, "Give me liberty or give me death." And lots of our founding fathers had brilliant speeches. And we've had presidents and civil rights leaders who have given eloquent speeches. I have a dream by any means necessary. And this one goes up there. As screwed up as America is right now, I still wouldn't trade her for any other country in the world. Let's sink in for a second. This is America. We fought for our independence, and we've been independent ever since. We are made up of every possible combination of human on the face of this fucking planet. We have seen successes out of every single possible combination of human on this planet. When we make a mistake, we right the ship. When we ended slavery, we went to war with our own people. When terrorists flew a plane into buildings in New York and into the Pentagon, the people on Flight 93 took matters into their own hands. And they swarmed the terrorists. And with no regard for their own lives, they slammed that plane into the ground rather than allow terrorists to take out an important target. That's what it means to be American. We stand up for the little guy. We protect the little guy. We operate with common sense and love of our country. If the woke crowd, if the extremists among us, whether that's extreme left or whether that's extreme right, we will stomp them out because we are Americans. And we don't tolerate failure. And we don't tolerate bad decisions. And we need to return to those days where we are not led by ideals and far-fetched unicorn dreams. And if that's what the leadership of this country wants to bring, you saw what happened the last time we had bad leaders. We kicked them out of the country. Because being an American is about trying to do the right thing. We might not always accomplish it, but we get up, we dust ourselves off, and we fight on. So if the woke crowd really wants to continue this, Americans are waking up and fighting back. And as Americans, we will win. Oh yeah, we will win. Copious out.